Welcome to the Reawaken You podcast. I'm Kate Parker, your host, an empowerment coach, author, and entrepreneur who's on a mission to help women reclaim their power and live life on their own terms. Here we dive into real talk about breaking free from the patriarchy, embracing your authentic self, and stepping into your full potential. We explore how societal structures have held women back and how you can rise above them to create a life that's truly yours. Through the lens of authenticity, queen energy, and legacy, you will hear inspiring conversations, actionable strategies, and unfiltered insights to support you on your journey of self-discovery and empowerment. So if you're ready for honest, no bullshit empowerment with a touch of sass, you're in the right place. Let's reawaken your power together. Hello, my beautiful queens. Welcome to today's episode. If you hear my dog snoring or my child, my daughter is gaming and my dog is old, and she's currently in the office with me, so she may snore. Anyway, today I want to talk about the power of women's circles and why we need each other now more than ever. You see, women's empowerment has been around since the time immemorial. For centuries, women have gathered in kitchens, temples, and forests and community halls to share stories, wisdom, laughter, and tears. And these gatherings were not only a source of connection, but they were also a source of survival. And yet throughout history, systems have worked tirelessly to dismantle these bonds. Why? Because a group of women together is a force of nature. From the witch trials of Europe to religious segregation, from patriarchal laws to cultural shaming, the consistent message has always been that women together are dangerous. Women who share wisdom about herbs, childbirth, healing, or even simply supporting one another were labelled as threats. The reason is because female solidarity challenges control. And when women stand together, they amplify one another's voices. They question injustice. They create alternatives to oppressive systems. And for men invested in control, then and now, this is terrifying. A circle of women doesn't just comfort, it transforms. That's why even today, subtle tactics remain in place to keep women isolated. Narratives of competition or the glorification of catfights or influences like Andrew Tate painting empowered women as threatening. But still, we gather and we reform because it's in our nature. I'm blessed to be part of many women's circles, and they feed different parts of my soul, each one offering something unique that helps me to grow or soften or rise. These circles are my lifelines, my places of reflection. I look at them like my mirrors. I've got my book club. So my book club is a little bit different from the traditional kind. It's online, and it grew organically out of a coaching membership program that we were all part of. We'd been mentored and coached together in that space, and we wanted to take it deeper. So we created our own little circle, which is not that little, it's quite big. But each month we choose a self-development or a soulful book, and we read it not just for knowledge, but to help us to integrate it into our lives. Our discussions often go far beyond text. It goes into our personal experiences, our breakthroughs and challenges. I've had moments in these conversations where someone else's reflection has cracked something open in me that I didn't even realize needed healing. These women remind me that wisdom is not just in the pages of books, but it's in the shared vulnerability and the courage of women who dare to grow together. Then I have my masterminders. Now, this is not a paid mastermind class or anything like that, but I didn't find these women through chance, but through intention. We came together a few years ago, a group of coaches who wanted to create a space where we could be more than competitors. We made a pact. We would hold each other accountable, lift each other through the lows, and celebrate the highs without jealousy or comparison, and we have kept that promise. These are the women that I call when I'm doubting myself, when I'm sitting with a new idea and I'm wondering if it's too big or too small, or when I just need someone to remind me of my own strength. We coach each other as much as we coach our clients, and the gift of being both teacher and student in that space, that's been transformative. I've also sought out circles that focus on health and well-being and the female body. Women's health can still feel almost like a taboo subject, but when we come together in a safe and non-judgmental space, something quite incredible happens. We talk openly about cycles and hormones and perimenopause and the struggles that we carry. We share remedies and different people that we can look to for inspiration, doctors' names, resources, and sometimes it's just the relief of knowing that someone else actually understands. These circles remind me that I do not need to carry the weight of figuring it all out on my own. They are the place where I land in the middle of the messiness of being a woman in this world. I also have my professional circles, spaces where I connect with other women in leadership and coaching. Women who are ambitious yet heart-led, and women who know that success doesn't have to mean stripping away our own authenticity. When I'm in these rooms, there's no pretense. There's no need to act like one of the boys or to compete on masculine terms. Instead, we encourage one another to lead with clarity and vision, and with compassion. And I've had moments in these groups where I've felt seen, not only for my professional abilities, but also for the wholeness of who I am, the mother, the coach, the creative, the leader. And that kind of recognition fuels me to keep going, even when I still feel like the world often undervalues women's voices. And then my most sacred circle of all, my closest friends. These women, they are the ones who see me unfiltered, the ones who have stood beside me in my darkest valleys and have danced with me in moments of joy. And with them, there is no need for polish. We've wiped each other's tears. We've belly laughed until our cheeks hurt. We have sat in silence when words feel too heavy. And we've celebrated milestones big and small. With them, there's no competition, no comparison, only compassion and deep love. And these friendships are where I am reminded again and again that being human is messy, but it's beautiful when it's shared. In each of these circles, they remind me that I am never truly alone. They give me places to anchor into, to express myself fully, and to be both held and holding. They have taught me that connection isn't a luxury, it is a necessity. And that perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this, that when women come together, we don't just support one another, we expand what is possible. Research continues to confirm what women have always intuitively known. Strong female friendships aren't just nice to have, they are vital for our health and happiness. Studies show that women with supportive friendships experience lower levels of stress and anxiety. They have better heart health and even a longer life expectancy. Connection literally changes our chemistry. So when we gather, our bodies release oxytocin, the bonding hormone that softens our stress response, and it calms our nervous system and reminds us that we belong. Circles of women aren't just emotional comfort, they are medicine, they are prevention, they are healing, and they touch every layer of our well-being. Being truly seen and heard by other women activates safety in our bodies. This regulates our nervous system, and we move out of the fight or flight and into rest and digest, and suddenly our breathing slows, our shoulders drop, and we feel less alone in carrying the weight of our world. These moments of nervous system regulation, they ripple into everything, and they help us with better sleep, stronger immunity, healthier decision making, and even more patience with the people that we love. It's also around resilience. Life will test us through grief and heartbreak, financial stress, illness, or even unexpected curveballs that shake us. Women who are held by strong friendship networks recover more quickly and with more grace. Why? Because we don't collapse in isolation. We are carried, and we are reminded of who we are when we forget. Resilience is not about toughing it out. It's about being softened and supported and strengthened through connection. It helps us with our identity and growth. Circles, they help us remember who we are beyond our roles, beyond the mother, daughter, partner, professional. This world, it seems to define women by what we do for others, Our circles are where we reconnect with our authentic selves. They are the places where we can ask, who am I now, or who am I becoming? And they are where we can be witnessed in that becoming without judgment. Growth doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when we see ourselves reflected back in the wisdom and the stories of others. And it's easy to forget play as adults. Life gets so serious. Responsibilities pile up, and joy and play often feels like the last thing on our to-do list. But in circles of women, laughter and creativity rise naturally. We remember what it feels like to belly laugh until tears roll down our cheeks. We dance barefoot in the kitchen. We lose ourselves in storytelling and imagination, and these moments are not frivolous. They are lifelines. Joy and play bring lightness into the heaviness of the world, and they return us to our feminine essence. And I've noticed this shift in myself more and more as I get older. I need these circles in a way that I never understood when I was younger. They are no longer optional extras. They are essential, and in truth, I need these circles more than I need a lover in my life. Lovers may come and go, but soul sisters remain. They are the ones who sit in the trenches with you, who remind you of your light even when you can't see it yourself, and they celebrate you without condition. These bonds don't just support my well-being, but they expand it. They anchor me, heal me, and they keep me alive in every sense of the word. And perhaps the greatest gift of women's circles is that they call us back to our feminine energy. This world, it prizes productivity and linear thinking, constant action, and many of us spend our days in masculine energy, planning, striving, holding it all together. We hustle through work deadlines and manage households, and we raise children, and we push forward with very little pause. And while masculine energy has its place, it is not where women thrive endlessly. Circles of women offer the opposite. They offer that place to lean back instead of leaning in. It's a place to surrender control and to let softness just be enough. It's a place to rest and receive and reflect instead of constantly doing. It's a place where intuition and creativity and nurturing are not only welcomed, but they are celebrated. Feminine energy flows. It is cyclical. It values connection over competition, empathy over dominance, and presence over performance. When we gather as women, we give ourselves permission to let go of the armor that we wear in our masculine-driven world. We exhale, we soften, we come home to ourselves. And from that softness comes strength. Not the brittle strength of pushing through, but the enduring strength of being rooted and held and whole. What happens in women's circles doesn't stay confined within them either. When we practice vulnerability and compassion and deep listening together, it ripples outwards into our families, our workplaces, our communities, and even in the way that we lead. Circles train us in feminine leadership, holding space without judgment, leading from empathy rather than fear, and balancing strength with softness. And when these qualities are carried into our public lives, they transform the way leadership looks and feels. An example of this ripple effect is Jacinda Ardern. She was the New Zealand Prime Minister for a number of years, and she showed the world that leadership rooted in compassion is not a weakness, but it's a profound strength. She led New Zealand through some of its hardest seasons, not by posturing or domination, but by bringing humanity to the forefront. She cried openly with grieving communities. She made decisions with empathy as much as with intellect. And she embodied a form of leadership that was inclusive and steady and profoundly feminine. Now, her style of leadership reminds us that what we practice in small circles of women, so like listening and supporting and being present, it can scale up to entire nations. Feminine energy in action doesn't just soothe, but it can transform. And this is the ripple effect of women's circles, because when we nurture each other in private and then we carry that energy out into the world, it changes not only our own lives, but the lives of those we touch. All of this, the circles I've been part of, the lessons I have lived, and the magic I have witnessed has shaped how I want my own work to feel. When I launched the Queen Energy program, I want it to carry the essence of its own circle. I don't want it to be just another program. I want it to be a sacred space of vulnerability, that place, a return to self, where people can peel back the layers and they can meet themselves as they truly are. I want it to be a space for embodied action, where the insights we gain don't just stay in our journals, but they ripple into the way that we lead and love and live. And most importantly, I want it to be a space of no judgment, a place where comparison has no foothold, where every journey is honoured, and where women can remember this truth, that we rise together. This Queen Energy program, I want it to be its own little circle, one where women are reminded of their power, their softness, and their ability to create lives of beauty and impact. And it will be a place where we come home to ourselves, and in doing so, help each other ripple that energy outwards into our families and our communities and the way that we lead. So if you don't yet have these spaces, I implore you to seek them out or to create your own. There are countless ways that women gather, book clubs, knitting, sewing or craft groups, walking or hiking clubs, theatre and performance groups, women's only gyms, yoga and Pilates classes, full moon or seasonal circles, spiritual meditation groups, professional women's networks, volunteering groups, art and creative and painting workshops. And if you're not ready to join in person, then start with books by inspiring women. Tune into podcasts or engage in online communities where authenticity and empowerment are honoured. It's not witchcraft, but it is magic. It's the kind of magic that happens when women set down competition and they pick up compassion. When we choose to see one another's journeys without judgment, we then create a culture of support, not comparison. Empowerment is not a solo act, it is a circle. So gather your women, create your space, reclaim your feminine energy, and when the time is right, step into circles like the Queen Energy program, spaces that are designed to remind you of your sacredness, your sovereignty, and your infinite possibility. Because together, we are unstoppable. Right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for listening to the Reawaken You podcast. If you loved today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new conversation. And if you're looking for even more inspiration and actionable insights, sign up for the Reawaken Quarterly magazine at www.reawaken-coaching.com. Reawaken Quarterly is your go-to resource for staying empowered, inspired, and on track with your personal growth journey. Packed with thought-provoking articles, practical tools, and powerful stories, it's the perfect companion to have by your side as you reclaim your power and create the life you desire. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, keep stepping into your power and owning your journey.